Lunchtime, lunchtime. You know what that means for you and me. The day is almost over with. Are we eating lunch? Let's check out and see what the update is on the D4VD David case update. Breaking news, arrest to be made in D4VD David case. Let's see what Tim's talking about.
Parenthood is a journey filled with countless decisions, especially when it comes to your child's education.
There is someone who is about to get arrested in the case involving the death of Celeste Rivas, and it is not David. We know a lot. Let me download you on what we found out. So
if they're saying David is not the one who's going to be being arrested, my thoughts, y'all drop a comment below. I think David is telling. The whole time he knew who did what, and that's why it haven't been any press releases stating that David was arrested, because David, he telling.
There has been a witness before the grand jury, and he is intimately involved in David's life, the singer David, who the LAPD and the LA County DA says in a suspect in what they believe is the murder of Celeste Rivas.
Could have had went down like this, y'all. Could another older adult who was around David, maybe like an assistant, just someone around David that was older, who knew they wasn't supposed to be messing with her neither, and they get caught, and they overage and she's underage, and they was the one who unalived her.
His name is Robert Morgenroth. Robert Morgenroth is the head of Mogul Vision, which is the label for David. But more than just the executive, the general manager, he is a manager. He manages David, and he is involved in David's day-to-day life and clearly knows a lot. So on Monday, Morgenroth was in the hallway with his lawyer, and there were people around, and they weren't sitting or standing right next to them, but the hallway echoes, and it was clear to people around there that there was a conversation that Morgenroth was having with his lawyer, and he was recounting what happened inside the grand jury room with the prosecutor in the case. The prosecutor, Beth Silverman, according to Morgenroth, here's what he said. She was very pushy on why I didn't call police. And then he went on to say that he said, in response to that he said, quote, I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that and just wanted to continue with the tour. Now, we do not know the context of this, but when the DA...
What kind of shit is that? Dude going down. You knew it. Okay, you didn't do it, but you knew about a murder? A horrific murder at that. They dismembered this young girl. You didn't say anything because you was worried about a tour? So basically, you saying you was the money more important than this young lady's life? Oh yeah. Dude going down. Even if he didn't do it, because he knew something about the situation and he didn't say anything.
Is grilling him about not calling the police. That has to involve a crime. You're not going to call the police because somebody didn't show up for work. You're going to call the police if there's some kind of crime involved, especially since this is a case involving what the DA says is a crime. So we don't know what Morgenroth knew that would require him, according to the DA, to pick up a telephone and call the police. But there's something. And again, he was involved in David's day-to-day life. So, okay, there is more. There is another manager in this same company, and his name is Josh Marshall. That name may be familiar to you because Josh Marshall was the guy who leased the house in the Hollywood Hills that David was staying in. It is the same house that the LAPD raided pursuant to a search warrant just shortly after Celeste's body was found inside David's Tesla. We are told by law enforcement sources that that house and that search was really critical in their investigation. So Josh Marshall, who leased the house, who signed the lease, is part of the company Mogul Vision that Morgan Roth is also involved with. Morgan Roth and Josh Marshall are both managers of David. So they seem to know a lot about David. I don't know, we don't know, if Josh Marshall was called as a witness. I would frankly be very surprised if he wasn't. But Morgan Roth testified for at least 3 days. We don't know if he was testifying last week as well. One other interesting thing happened on Tuesday. Morgan Roth went into a courtroom that is next to where the grand jury was hearing the testimony. And along with Morgan Roth, the DA, Beth Silverman, also walked in. Now that's important because when there's something that happens in the grand jury where there's a dispute, for example, if a witness won't answer a question and the DA is pressing for an answer, if there's a stalemate, the DA can go to the judge and force the witness to testify, or at least get the judge to do that. We don't know if that's why they walked in, but both Morgan Roth and Beth Silverman walked into that courtroom.
One thing I do know, this case is so hush-hush. I've never heard of a entertainer with the status of this young man going through such a crazy allegation tied to his name of unaliving an underage girl. And it's almost like no one's covering it. Only one who's seeming to care about it is TMZ and me. You would think that this would be all over the news channels. I'm going to keep y'all updated with more to come information on this D4VD case. Who's going to be arrested? Will it be David, or is it one of his friends, one of his secretary, one of his workers? Who unalived this young 15-year-old girl? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Jamie the One TV.